Hello, everybody. Welcome to our new episode of our Rethink Life channel. I want to welcome Betty. Hi, Betty. How are you?
Hi, fine. Thanks.
Excellent. And I want to say a little bit about the Institute of Metaphysical Science, and that's who sponsors us. So the Institute of Metaphysical Science was established in 1959 as the Margaret Laird Foundation, researching, exploring, living, and teaching the science of being and the causal nature of consciousness. You can check out our website at scientificmetaphysics.org. Today we have a new format we're excited about. Today, the source material for the next two episodes is going to be All is One, the pamphlet by Margaret Laird. And this is what it looks like here. That's going to be our source material. And for those of you who don't yet have a copy of All is One, we're making a special offer to save 20% by using the coupon code Livestream20 for the next week or so. At scientificmetaphysics.org/all-is-1, and you can take advantage of that. It's available from our website it can be mailed to you, or you can also buy the Kindle version. I'm not sure that our coupon will work with the Kindle version. At any rate, so today, the episode tonight is called The Distinction of Clear Vision is Reality. So that's what we're going to be exploring. Now, as I look at All is One of the things that's really, really clear and really cool is this was written in 1957 by Margaret Laird. And the booklet was published in response to a bunch of requests that she received for a more developed version of her paper entitled Radical Reliance on Truth. So there's a growing, and what she wrote is, there's a growing awareness that the separation of mind and matter, of the physical form, the metaphysical and spiritual, is entirely imaginary. Man and his universe are the one substance, spirit, so long called God. So the paper was written primarily to show that the statement in the Christian Science textbook, Science and Health by Mary Baker Eddy, says only through radical reliance on truth can scientific healing power be realized. So that has much broader significance than the traditional interpretation, which is just the non-use of material remedies. The distinction made between one method of treating disease and another is one of viewpoint and not of principle. Capital P. So from the standpoint of truth, the means to the end are the end coming to view in the language of individual discernment. So we're going to be exploring All is One. And the first paragraph is how I want to just kind of kick this off. And what Margaret Laird wrote is, truth evolving as individual conscious being or mind makes it increasingly difficult for this that calls itself man to live comfortably and happily in two worlds, the material and the spiritual. In this modern age, there can be no straddling of the fence. In fact, as the knowledge unfolds that all is one, it will not only be difficult to be double-minded and live, but impossible. In this atomic age, we are called upon to deal intelligently with duality as 2 points of view of the one reality. So with that, let's kick off our discussion today, Betty. And the episode is called The Distinction of Clear Vision is Reality. So just welcome to the episode. Is there anything you want to say before we dive in?
I think we've already dived in.
There we go. Probably.
Yeah. The choice of All is One as a kickoff for this new format was because it so basically states what the difference is in living the science as a science and in living it as a religion. The science that she's pointing to, Mary Baker Eddy is pointing to, and Margaret Laird is describing, is based on the scientific statement of being that she wrote in Science and Health, which begins, all is infinite mind and its infinite manifestation. Just that much, all, is the word that we so ignore. We think all means whatever we've decided the all is, and then there's all this other stuff called human living, and that's not included. And that's what the distinction is here in all is one. Because fundamentally what Mary Baker Eddy was teaching was that there is a divinity, a perfection, a wholeness, a God being, if you will, that constitutes everyone and everything. And then we see this oneness according to our own perception. And we call it people and places and things. But actually, that's feedback telling us what we're seeing as people, places, and things. And science is coming along saying that may be the way it looks. That's not the way it is. The way it is the infinite manifestation of the God idea. Man is the reflective presence of God being. And that's what we're talking about fundamentally. That was to me, the departure that Margaret Laird made when she saw that that was being ignored in the organization. So we all get there one step at a time, but this is the big point of concern, is we either mean all or we don't. If all is infinite mind, then what is this stuff I'm looking at? It's my view of all. It's my point of view. And what I see is not what Kim sees, not what you see. It's what I see. So in that sense, you see, I am the world I walk through because I'm generating it out of my perception.
Yep. All right. Very good. So that's where we're headed. And for those of you, if you're enjoying this conversation, you can give us a thumbs up or a heart. You can also enter comments in, and we will take those comments up as well. There is a little delay, but go ahead and ask questions, make your comments. We look forward to them. All right, so let's dive in. In All is One on page 3, Margaret Laird says, in your own individual being as man, as conscious mind identity, lies the cure for your wants and woes, since the wants and woes have no existence except your point of view. So you want to say anything about that, Mom?
I think that sums up what I already just said.
I agree. I think we're right there. All right. Now, if we look at what Mary Baker Eddy said in Science and Health on page 369, line 5, she says, and this says the same thing. So what we're trying to do is say, here's what Margaret Laird said. Here's how Mary Baker Eddy said it. So what she said is, in proportion as matter loses to human sense all entity as man, in that proportion does man become its master.
Yep.
So say that in a little bit more understandable format. Just kind of talk about those two.
Okay. Well, as I look around, as a student of science, I have to include everything in my world. It's the chair I'm sitting in, it's the food I'm eating, it's the places I'm going, it's the books I read, it's everything that I live each day. And what science is telling me is that all is infinite mind. And in proportion as I see that constituting this thing that I'm looking at, things shift.
Yeah.
And the shift has me more readily identifying spiritually than as something separate out there that can influence me or have me be happy or sad or any of that stuff. But in proportion as I see the mindedness, the fundamental metaphysical nature of everything around me, in that portion, I'm in control of my own being.
Yeah.
To the degree that I don't see that, I live as a victim of the picture.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
I could get that. So then in your book, so now we still have Margaret Laird's quote up that we're really looking at in All Is One on page 3. But in your book, Mind is the Athlete, on page 18, you wrote, the study and practice of scientific metaphysics has been found to consistently deliver results when addressed with impersonal precision and commitment. We are only now beginning to anticipate and consider our intrinsic capacity to cause our own experience of living.
Yep.
So when you say, I want to have you clarify, when you say impersonal precision, what do you mean by that? Impersonal precision.
I want to be precise with what the science is requiring. I want to see that all means all. It doesn't mean just what Betty likes.
Mm-hmm.
It means all.
Right.
So whether I like it or not, whether I'm comfortable with it or not, whether I want it or not, from a personal point of view, has nothing to do with anything. That's just Betty playing with the picture.
Right.
What the science has to say is that this is my current best view of divine being. And as I get myself expanded in my understanding of divine being, that picture shifts all the time. And my relationship to what I eat, where I go, what I do shifts. And it shifts in a direction that is meeting every need I've got. It fits in almost with Mrs. Eddy's statement, divine love always has met and always will meet every human need. Well, as I'm aligning myself with the allness of divine love, the God idea, everything in my world aligns with that. And I find that I have no problem where it looked like one was coming up. I'm no longer feeling uncomfortable where I might have been feeling, where I would have wished to be more comfortable. A problem that's coming up melts away. I've seen that happen right in the process of walking through the door. Like, oh dear, what am I going to do? And I walk through the door and I think, oh, okay, I can do that.
Yep.
And it's the answer to the problem.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of seeing the oneness of my everyday living as feedback on how I'm doing with having it all be one thing going on.
Right.
Divine, perfect, and whole.
Yeah, when I can see it as my own divinity showing up, rather than saying, well, I like this and I don't like that and blah, 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 and really taking issue with what I see.
That's personal.
That's right. There's the personal, and impersonal would be acknowledging the divinity.
You, like Margaret used to say, I don't know why it looks this way, but I know there's just one thing going on, divine being, however I'm seeing it.
Right. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. And then, so then on page 5 of All Is One, Margaret Laird wrote, everything you see, hear, feel, you are seeing, hearing, and feeling with soul or truth, and not with your eyes. Your eyes see only your interpretation of reality, the nothing that is the something. I think it's very interesting to say that, the eyes that we think we see with, they're not what sees at all.
That's right. They're the language interpreting seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm hung up on what the eyes have got going on, I'm lost in the personal concept.
Right.
When I recognize that vision is entirely spiritual, that it's divine and perfect and whole, no matter what the picture's got going on, then the picture shifts.
Yes.
And it aligns with what I'm now living rather than what I was believing before.
Yeah, because you're willing to give up your belief. You're willing to give up your judgments. You're willing to let that be, and acknowledging the divinity present.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. Now, in Science and Health, Mary Baker Eddy says it this way: to be immortal, we must forsake the mortal sense of things.
The human sense.
the mortal sense of things. To be immortal, we must forsake the mortal sense of things, turn from the lie of false belief to truth, and gather the facts of being from the divine mind, capital M.
Yep.
That's what she says, and that's her way of saying the same thing.
Yeah. And that's also like fundamental to the practice of this metaphysical science. To what we're saying is that all is infinite mind. All is the God idea, infinitely present.
Right.
And I know in the first edition of Science and Health, Mrs. Eddy referred to people as, or talked to them about themselves as your God being.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that kind of thing. But to be that, to live that, to be immortal, we have to give up on the sense we have of our physical body and allow that to be just language for the moment of our immortal being. What it says is, hey, I consciously am. Mm-hmm. We think it says, well, too bad I don't have blonde hair. Right. Do you know? But what it's saying is, I consciously am. And science is saying what that's telling you is that divine being, whole, perfect, complete, is present. And this is the way you're seeing it right now. So as you expand in your understanding of what's actually present, that picture shifts and shifts and shifts on a constant basis. It's not ever the same from one instant to the next.
Right. And another way that Mary Baker Eddy said the same thing we're talking about is on page 353 of Science and Health, where she said, the Christianly scientific real is the sensuous unreal.
Yeah, same thing.
Yep.
Just what we've been talking about.
Exactly. And then you, in Mind as the Athlete, Betty wrote on page 19, scientific metaphysics is an exploration of a climate in which consciousness is acknowledged as the source and condition of everything that is or seems to be. Such a climate is permissive of your opportunity to be, do, and have whatever you desire and are committed to having.
Yep.
So
that's a good sentence.
It's a good sentence, long but good.
Yep. 2 sentences.
Okay. Very good. All right. So,
and these 3 sentences are all talking about the same thing, if you consider them.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we put them up side by side.
Right. So we can go back and summarize with Mrs. Laird's statement, everything you see, feel, hear, taste, and touch, all of that stuff. You see, you are hearing, feeling, tasting, touching from truth.
That's not with your eyes. Right.
Yeah. And so you see, as your interpretation, only what your understanding allows you to see. You don't see everything that's there. We live the world as we are. We don't live it as it is.
Right.
He's saying that science has one world, whole, perfect, complete, fulfilling, satisfying right now. Mm-hmm. We live it piecemeal because we're so stuck on this human thing we've got going on. And we try so hard to take care of that thing. And the thing takes care of itself when you focus on the fact, that all is infinite mind.
Yes.
I have no idea what that really does look like, but I know that it isn't limited. I know that it isn't sick. I know that it isn't lacking. I know that it has no problems, but that isn't the way Betty lives it. How come? So I'm waking up and I'm saying, well, wait a minute now. I don't have to be a victim of that picture. I can live it myself divinely.
Right.
And if we're getting to the end of our time, are we? I don't know.
We have a few more minutes. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I just wanted to to say that if you are a student of science, of metaphysical science, you need to be committed to, whenever your attention gets drawn to it, you need to be committed to taking a look at the spiritual fact of whatever is confronting you all along the way of your daily living.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't pay attention 24/7, but during the day, something comes up and gets your attention. Well, when it gets your attention, oh, this is divine love speaking right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's meeting the need. So Betty doesn't have to get all concerned about it.
Right.
It's divine love that meets the need. And that's what's constituting this thing called Betty. And when I can really become conscious for a moment of that fact and be really committed to acknowledging that that's what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
I find that my human living simplifies itself. Solutions show up, problems disappear, things get taken care of. Because actually, living myself divinely has my human living without problems.
Right.
And that's the value of being a scientific metaphysician. It's a way of meeting your need without a whole lot of emotional upset, without a whole lot of, oh dear. Wars would end. Relationships would be wonderful. Economics would not be a problem. All of that, my political living, my financial living, my relationship living, my world living is all going to shift with who I'm being.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, it says on page 2 at the bottom, she's Margaret Laird and All Is One, and I don't have a quote for this, but she says, if you are not consciously living as man, capital M, you are only living in belief and will intuitively take the steps that lead to the crucifixion of the belief. Because the divinity of you can't let you continue living in a lie.
I love the comment that Mrs. Laird made one time. She said that when she went to a practitioner for help when she was a young student, and she had a job that she loved and did well, and she worked with men, and she could keep right in step with all of them, even back in those days. And this practitioner picked up on this ego trip that she had going on, and he looked at her and said, Margaret, God loves you too much to leave you in this belief of yourself. And at the time, Margaret was having a struggle with migraine headaches, and she never had another one after that. She got it.
Yeah, it says, she goes on to say on page 3, it is not the belief of you that makes you suffer, but the fact of you.
That's right.
So one of the things you could look at is anywhere in your life where you're suffering, you got to look and see, well, what are you holding as truth? What are you holding as causative? What are you believing about the world you walk through?
Yep.
Because it's not the fact of you. It's not the belief of you that makes you suffer, but the fact of you.
Yep.
And the fact of you is what has you suffer when you're not acknowledging the facts of your own being, the divinity present as you. Okay. So
that's a way of saying it's divine love meeting the need.
Right, exactly.
You need to be miserable, okay? Then be miserable.
Right. I mean, it reminds me of the story that Margaret has about the gal who had an issue going on, and Margaret said, well, I don't know, maybe you need to drag one foot behind the other for a long time.
For the rest of your life.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, so where do you want to leave people? Now, just know that you can leave a comment if you'd like, and then also give us a thumbs up or a heart if you're liking the conversation. And we will be here again next week at 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, both on our YouTube channel. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. That would be great. Or you can watch us on our Facebook page. Either one is where we broadcast. So how do you want to end? And then we're going to be doing another extension of the exploration of all is one next week.
Yeah.
So how do you want to leave people with as we wrap this session up?
Well, there's a sentence that Margaret wrote about radical reliance on truth that I think is a good summing. She says, radical reliance on truth is the art of living intuitively, inspirationally, holding to no traditional concepts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so we
very
have to
good.
let go of the way we've believed it to be and be willing to look and say, well, maybe it's not that way. Maybe it's some other way. And just be willing to look.
Right. Very good. All right. With that, we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for being here. And we look forward to seeing you next week, continuing the exploration. I do want to say that All is One, we do have a special offer for those of you who do not have a copy of it and would like to order your copy. You just use Livestream20 at checkout at the scientificmetaphysics.org site. And there's the link right there, scientificmetaphysics.org/all-is-1. And you can take advantage of that offer and then follow along. It's a really, really great little pamphlet. I think very, very good. So we will see you again next week as we continue to rethink life.
Thank you.